Welcome into Jags A.M. I'm Kainani Stevens, Brent Sexton, John Ogier with me. We're coming to you from the Grove Hotel, just outside Watford, England, north of London. We've got a little English tea setup here for you today. John, you brought your own cup, though.
I did bring my own cup, and I will enjoy it.
Not too bad. All right, let's get into big things. We got some stuff to talk about. Team obviously going to be here for the week. They're preparing to take on the Patriots at Wembley Stadium on Sunday. Start up with big thing number one, which is on the move overnight. Trade news coming down as Roy Robertson-Harris headed to Seattle. A pretty long flight, heading from London all the way to Seattle for future draft picks for this team. Brian, a bit of a surprise to maybe be doing this in the middle of London week, but then again, when you're 1-5, not much of a surprise about anything.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because Trent Baalke and I had a conversation back during training camp, and he wanted to see Maason Smith on the field. He wanted to see young players in the lineup, and Mason's played better the last couple of weeks, and Roy has been okay. And I got the distinct impression, from that last night that's Trent saying it's time to move on and get young guys in the lineup. Not, flushing the season and saying we can't turn this thing around and win some games, but just deciding I'm going to win with Maason Smith over the long haul more than I'm going to win with Roy Robertson-Harris.
Yeah, and if you remember, Roy played a lot in the fourth quarter of preseason games, which is usually a sign that they're trying to figure out something along those lines. Look, he as a second free agent, meaning he signed as a free agent for another team. He was on his second contract here. Gave this team, 2 or 3 solid years.
2021, yeah.
They got out from under the rest of the contract. So, I've gotten a lot of emails in the day or so since it happened. Is this a fire sale? Look, if you continue to be one and whatever, at some point you start looking at those things, but I don't think it automatically has to be a trend where all of a sudden everybody's out the door right now.
No, and just one memory on Roy as he goes out the door. He had a couple of big tackles at the end of that Chargers playoff game in 2022 that set up the punt that got the ball back to the Jaguars with just over 2 minutes to play for that game-winning field goal drive. So, he wasn't a superstar. He's not a pride of the Jaguars kind of guy, but he made a couple of plays in a very important game, and for that, I'm grateful for that.
We'll talk a little bit about what that means for the defense coming up a little bit later on in the show, but we do want to talk our second big thing, roster versus team. John, we've talked about this roster coming into the season. We felt like individual spots on the roster were good and solid, but this team isn't playing well right now. So what's the dynamics of that when we look at maybe positions and feel like things are okay, but then the team isn't really working out?
Well, I kind of wonder, frankly, I think it's a good roster. I think there are good players on the roster. What they haven't shown this year is, are there enough elite players that make big plays in key situations? I think there's a lot of guys who are NFL starters. I don't know, or they haven't shown, that there are guys who make huge plays at the end of games. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is trending that way. I think Trevor Lawrence can be that. I think Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker are those guys at times. Do they have enough great players on the roster to be better than this? Right now they don't, because they're not better than this. But, if you're asking specific spots that can be better, clearly the secondary can be better. It hasn't been very good yet this year, but it's also been beat up. I think you sort of knew that was a concern going in. Brian, I've said since day one, where I'm going with it. When there's a secondary that's questionable, the front has to be huge. And I don't know how many times I said during the preseason, if this team is going to be great defensively, the front must be great defensively. If it's not going to be very good defensively. I'm not sure the entire front has been good enough yet.
No, it hasn't been as good in the middle, right? I mean, which is why they feel comfortable in saying, all right, well, let's take a 6th-round pick for Roy Robertson-Harris and move Maason Smith. By the way, Jordan Jefferson made a couple of big plays in the ball game yesterday. Big meaning, he moved guys physically from one gap to another in the running game, and it was impressive to watch. So there's some young talent that they think they can get more from. Get more from, John, is kind of where I'm at right now. I think it's a good roster, too. Is it the best roster that the Jaguars have ever had? No, it's clearly not. If it was, it wouldn't be 1-5. But they can get more from this roster. I had a long conversation with Bucky Brooks in the post game, after the post game at Tottenham the other day, and his enduring thought was they've got to whittle it down to what they can do, what they do well, and not try to think about how you can build on things until you get back to being productive and effective with what you do well. And that's both sides of the ball, right? Whether it's the underneath stuff that worked so well against the Colts and getting back to that, or whether it's not rotating as much on the defensive side and keeping guys on the field more, because that rotation has been a storyline so far through the first 6 games of the season. It's about getting more from the roster from this point forward.
Might want to catch the balls, too.
Well, yeah, I did mention that the other day.
So, I mean,
that's a thought.
Clearly, I mean, approach is one thing. Just making plays when they're there, which seems like a refrain we've gone over and over this year. Sometimes he has to make the darn plays.
Well, and I want to be clear on this. Getting more from the roster isn't just on the coaches simplifying, right? It's guys getting the most out of their talent, catching the ball, making the tackle.
And not making silly mistakes when you do make the play.
Exactly.
Our final big thing today is going to be about streaks. Streaky this team has been, especially under Doug Peterson. Started poorly in 2022, ended well. Started well last year, ended poorly. Started poorly here. This team tends to, when they're good, and when they're not doing well, they slide. How, Brian, do you work around that and try to get yourself out of this so this doesn't turn into another multi-game thing?
Listen, I think it's important to point out, because we both just said that the roster is a pretty good roster. There isn't any reason why they can't turn it on Sunday. And I get it. The Patriots have a rookie quarterback. They've lost 5 straight games. They've got a brand new coach. So if the Jaguars come out and put a number on the Patriots on Sunday, people will go, well, yeah, they beat the Patriots. But there isn't any reason why they can't create some momentum here, start playing good football, which they haven't yet this year, and try to turn that side of it around. I mean, what's a strong finish? I mean, they started strong last year, and then it just went downhill, and it started at the bottom of the hill, and it's gone down a little lower. Do they have to go 8-3? You probably have to go 8-3 for it to be a strong.
Yeah, I would say 8-3.
Yeah.
You still got to be over 500, and 8-3 would get them over 500. That seems a distant dream right now, the way they're playing. But think about it. I always look at this season like this so far. You've had 2 awful games. The rest of them, you've had a chance. The Houston Texans might be as good as anybody in the league right now, save a couple of teams at the top, and the Jaguars should have beaten them.
Yeah.
So can this team get to that point where it has a chance at the end of games against good teams? Yes, clearly it can. Can they make those key plays at the end of those games against good teams? They have to show that. But if they do it, it's there. But I can't predict that right now the way they've played.
Well, the Cowboys got clobbered at home. What was that, 47-9? I mean, they got beat badly by the Detroit Lions. And Mike McCarthy came out the next day, and he's been under fire. They're 3-3. And he said, I relish the chance to turn this thing around. Well, what else is he supposed to say? I mean, he's getting mocked in the media about that. But they've got they got 11 games left to play as well. I'd kind of like to see Doug Peterson or the players step up and kind of say that thing. Maybe they're thinking it, but make that line in the sand and go, we can turn this around, and we want to turn it around, and we're going to turn it around. Something along those lines, because at this point, you got to go improve it. You got to go and get it done. And I guarantee you, Kai, they believe that they can win Sunday, and they believe they can win the next Sunday. They don't lack in a confidence perspective from their ability to go out on the field on Sunday and think enough of themselves to go win. So
I think one thing that's difficult for them is when you've lost 10 of 12.
Yeah.
I know after games, if I'm a player, I am a little self-conscious about saying the same thing I said before, which is that we can get it turned around. So I know they're feeling that. I kind of get why the players are hesitant. Even Trevor said the other day, I can't sit up here and say everything. I'm paraphrasing it, but he said, I can't sit up here and say everything's great or pound the table, because you heard that before. So there's a little bit of a hesitancy on that,
right.
But I get the feeling. I do get the feeling what you're saying.
You don't have to pound the table. Just say, we can turn it around. It starts on Sunday. We got to turn it around. We believe we can turn it around. There's not a lot of energy for this team in the fan base, and nobody is surprised by that. The way to turn it around is to go win the next one. Go win the next one. You remember, they lost those 5 games in a row in 2022 after starting 2-1. And they were all one-score games at the end. And the question was every week, Doug, what's it going to take for your team to get over the top? Doug, how do you win a close game at the end? Doug, what's going on? And he just kept being patient and patient and patient and knew that at some point they'd get it done. And then they did against the Raiders, and things started to go their way. So maybe they need one of those come-from-behind games, because remember, they were down 17-0 to the Raiders in that game. Maybe they need one of these come-from-behind to believe enough in themselves to start it.
The cool thing, Kai, the
Yes.
NFL is always nice enough to give you another opportunity, at
Only
least till the
takes
end
one.
of the season.
Absolutely, 11 more. All right, stay with us here on Jags A.M. We're going to talk about what we might see as far as changes go to the defensive side of the football when we come back.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
At Publix, you can tackle everything from pregame prep to postgame cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds. This week at Publix, save $10 with a digital coupon when you spend $40 on select P&G products. Tackle everything from pregame prep with brands like Crest, Head & Shoulders, and Old Spice to postgame cleanup with brands like Bounty, Dawn, Tide, and Febreze. Clip your digital coupon now. Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Are you ready for a taste bud touchdown? Well, Jags fans, if you're at the bank and craving a snack that's shell-shockingly good, look no further than Luray Peanut Company's boiled peanuts. Picture this, you in the stands, cheering on your Jaguars, and in one hand, a bag of piping hot boiled peanuts. With original or Cajun to choose from, they're so delicious, you'll wonder where they've been all your life. So grab them while they're hot and get back to the game. And as always, Duval. Luray boiled peanuts, where every nut is a winner.
Hey Jaguars fans, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why they've built the Crown Royal Rig. An absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
Check this out, the new iPhone 16 built for Apple Intelligence. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. Trade in any phone from one of our top brands for the new iPhone 16 with Unlimited Ultimate. Plus, get a new iPad. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
For 11 years, Dreamfinders Homes has been proud to call themselves the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all of the available inventory, and go Jags. Welcome back into Jags A.M. Here as we're in the UK. I'm in a beautiful library, very much different than our normal setting, but I'll take it. And clearly I'm forgetting what show I'm hosting. But it is nice to be here and be able to talk a little bit about what the defense is going to be doing. We talked about some of the changes we might see. Obviously, they allowed the Bears to score 35 points, so we're going to see changes regardless. We have seen Tyson Campbell on the practice field. He's going to practice this week. His practice window has opened. We don't know if he will be playing yet, but that's something to consider, especially with what we've seen from the secondary. John, how helpful is it going to be to get Tyson back?
Well, my vibe is that he'll be back. Doug didn't say it on Monday, but the way he talked about it sort of felt like he'll be back. Look, he's your best player in the secondary, or he better be with the way you paid him, and I think he is. I don't know that he's a take away a side of the field guy, Brian, but he is a guy who makes you better at a spot. Certainly he would give you confidence being back there. Look, I don't think one guy is going to fix everything, but one guy can raise your level, and then over time, if you get Dewey back, who is very consistent.
Probably not this week.
Right. I don't know if he's your best athlete in the secondary, but he might be your most instinctive player
Right.
and your best tackler. So if you can get some guys back, it'll help. But even with those guys, frankly, I think it's still more about the front not having those guys under as much pressure, but Tyson would improve it.
I don't disagree. The front's got to get it done. However, they were really happy with the way that Tyson was playing in the first half in Miami before he injured that hamstring. And what I think he allows you to do is to move Ronald Darby into a different role and get Monteric Brown over on the other side of the field. Monteric has earned the right to play.
I think so. Yep.
He's played really, really well, not just in coverage, but up against the run. For 185 pounds, I mean, that guy throws himself in there against the run like few cornerbacks you see in the modern game. And that then allows you to get Darby some rest. I mean, he's a 10-year veteran. Get him into a different role. You got a couple of other young guys, in Trey Prince in particular, that is probably going to see some time on the field over the second half of the season. So maybe you get faster in the secondary and a little bit more athletic. Hopefully that factors into it as well.
Well, and to bring another position into it, Dewey, Monteric, Ventrell Miller, these guys, just play with energy, right? And it just feels like that group. And Tyson does too. He's more cornerback is hard to play with energy. But those three guys, it just feels like getting them on the field, you would have a little bit of an emotional lift for a team looking for something right now.
Now, that being said, because we talk about young guys, and we've been talking about them a lot, there is an older guy that you might get this week, right? Tashaun Gipson, who can come back this week if he's cleared by the league. And as of Monday, the coach still hadn't heard, direct verification from the league. But you're talking about a 10-year veteran who was in San Francisco last year and was in Chicago before that and had spent some time with the Jags. A veteran guy who could give you a lift, perhaps, at the safety position, which was a little better last week, but still not good enough.
Brian, when you talk about using Darby in a different role, is that just not having him on the field as much? Do you see him kind of in a different place in the secondary, or how would you do it? Because obviously we saw him struggle against the Bears.
I'd move Monteric over there. The different role would be he'd be a backup. He'd be a guy who'd come in, when I need to give a guy a break, if a guy's got an injury, he's the break glass in case of emergency, bring the veteran back out on the field. I just think Monteric Brown is a guy who's been rising the last couple of years and has been rising since he went into the lineup. And if Tyson Campbell is your one, I mean, who's number two to you?
Well, Monteric.
Yeah.
My sense is they may make that transition slowly. I got to feel like the transition's coming. I don't know if it would be immediate, but I just can't see him taking that long because Monteric's earned it.
Yeah, he's
too
playing
hard to
well.
take Monteric off the field at this point. I agree. We talked a little bit about Roy Robertson-Harris getting traded to Seattle, so that opens up a spot. We talked a lot about the subbing that they've done on the defensive side of the football. They were using Roy at times on the edge as well because there isn't a ton of edge players on this team. So what do you think, John, are some of the changes we're going to be seeing now that they have one less player there?
Well, that's a good question because it has frankly been sort of hard to follow and figure out what they're doing up front because they don't have very many defensive ends. So Trayvon and Josh, I've got to think, and I get the want to rotate those guys. I got to think those guys need to be on the field more. At that point, Eric Armstead is the other guy in the rotation. You'll move somebody out, but I don't want to be like acute about it, but I'm not sure who does go out now because Roy Robertson-Harris was one of those four guys out there. Miles Cole will come up.
Yep.
You need a big dose of that. So I think it's Armstead, Cole, and the two stalwarts. And inside, Brian, it's been a lot of guys, but not a lot of guys who've distinguished themselves yet. So they're going to get more of an opportunity.
No, but two guys that flashed both in the last couple of weeks, in particular last week, Jordan Jefferson and Maason Smith.
And it's time.
It is time. And listen, Jordan Jefferson's a really big, strong guy, and he was moving people. When you see that, if you're Ryan Nielsen, you want more of that. He's young. He can play more snaps, so you get him in there. You've got Devon Hamilton. Maason Smith will be in there. And listen, maybe I'm the only guy. I'm not the only guy that thinks that Eric Armstead should take some snaps inside as well. He was a Pro Bowl caliber interior pass rusher in a 3 technique in San Francisco, and what we've heard is he came here to play end. But you just don't see the same explosion, the same quick twitch from Eric Armstead, Kai, at end that you see from 41 and 44. But interior, with his length and his strength, I would think he would be able to give you some snaps in there too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I sort of wonder with the numbers who you play out there if he's not.
will play out there. I mean, he looks like an end. He's 6'5", 280.
So be interesting to see how that plays out. Put it that way.
For me, unless Trayvon or Josh asks off the field, I would want them at this point
on the field.
Yeah, I want them on the field.
It's not entirely unusual. Let's clarify this.
For that position to do that.
It rotates some. They rotate a little more than I've seen before. You have to rotate a little bit on the defensive line because you're pass rushing, and it takes a lot out of you. So you're not going to see 100% snaps out of those guys. To me, what's interesting is there's an opportunity now in the middle of the defense because nobody's really distinguished themselves. There's more of an opportunity than I thought there would be for Maason Smith and Jordan Jefferson to shine this year.
Let's talk a little bit about just the offensive side of the football. We heard Travis Etienne dealing with an injury now himself, so week to week is how Doug Peterson described it on Monday, so he may be missing some time. With what we've seen from Tank, we've been talking about getting Tank more carries, but I noticed that they've been using D'Ernest a lot, specifically still when we talk about Tank in pass coverage. Whether he can handle that. He hasn't been trusted with it a lot in the past, and I noticed in this game they really leaned towards D'Ernest, especially late when they had to throw the football. Is that trust still there? Because we talk about the trust, and it's fine when you're winning, but then sometimes with games like this, and he also fumbled the ball in this game, is it still there?
I would say that they did not trust him as much as they trusted D'Ernest. That much, it's clear, you can say that. How much they trust him, we'll have to hear from Doug and Press this week, but he's going to have to be on the field. I mean, he's a playmaker. The last couple of weeks he's made some plays. You need to try to replicate that. And D'Ernest is dependable and can make some plays, but he's not Tank Bigsby. And you don't really have a third.
But he's very reliable in pass protection as a pass receiver. That's not Tank's strengths. So they're trying, give them credit for trying to get the best players on the field for a given situation. And that clearly still is not yet Tank in terms of being, I'm going to use the old terminology, a third down back. That's when you look at Tank, you really don't think, hey, this is a guy that we need to be on the field on 3rd and 7 a lot. It'd be better on 2nd and 3 when you have the option of giving him the ball. So if Travis is out for very long, he's going to need to play that role, but it doesn't feel like they're that comfortable with him in that yet.
And they can do some things to help. But Brenton Strange has emerged as a really good blocking tight end. They can do some things with him in terms of protection schemes and finding ways to help the quarterback as well.
Stay with us here on Jags A.M. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit about what's been going on around the division.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
When disaster strikes, trust the experts at Surf Pro. As a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they bring the same dedication and precision to restoring your property as the Jaguars do on the field. Whether it's water, fire, or storm damage, their highly trained professionals are on call 24/7 to make it like it never even happened. Surf Pro, your local leader in restoration and cleanup.
At Publix, you can tackle everything from pregame prep to postgame cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds. This week at Publix, save $10 with a digital coupon when you spend $40 on select P&G products. Tackle everything from pregame prep with brands like Crest, Head & Shoulders, and Old Spice to postgame cleanup with brands like Bounty, Dawn, Tide, and Febreze. Clip your digital coupon now. Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Hey Jaguars fans, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why they've built the Crown Royal Rig. An absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
See Fields First, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. Welcome back into here to Jags A.M. We are just northwest of London as we're here for the week as the team prepares for their game at Wembley Stadium against the Patriots. We got a little bit of a preview of what we may see this week because the Patriots quarterback Drake May, drafted this year, started his first game for the team, played against the Texans this week, and this will be the second week in a row we're going to see a rookie quarterback. Hopefully it fares a little bit better than the first time around.
He threw 3 touchdown passes last week, so the game was out of control, but for the Patriots fans who hung around it, they got to see the new era in full swing, right? New coach, new quarterback.
Yeah, they like where he's headed. He's making his second start. I think the clarification here is that the Patriots, by any measure as a franchise right now, are not where the Bears are. The Bears felt like they were an ascending team, believed during the season that they were adding a rookie quarterback to a already ascending growing team. The Patriots very much have a plan for Drake May, and they realize that they are a team that is in the first year of a build. So I think Jared Mayo said this week, as a matter of fact, look, this is not a immediate fix. I'm paraphrasing him, but he made clear that there's a long way to go in their build.
Yeah, the way they've been going about the process as well, choosing not to start him right out of the gate to kind of get him used to things. Their offensive line has more issues than what we've been dealing with, which is impressive at times. And so there will be opportunity there. Obviously, we know their record it shows as well, but just a lot of injury for that team as well.
And Jacoby Brissett threw 2 touchdown passes in the first 5 games, and then May comes in and throws 3. So right away they're telling you with this kid,
and they have receivers. Yeah.
I spoke with Mike Rice this week of ESPN, who's as good as on the Patriots as anybody. They fooled some people, he thought, by winning their first game. And the expectations in New England were very much that it was going to be a build. They won their first game. I said, it might be further along. He said, they're not further along than that. This season for the Patriots is about, let's see where Drake May is at the end of the year. And if he's good, if they know he's ascending, then they feel like it's a good year. That's not an unusual situation for a build, but that's where the Patriots are.
Elsewhere in the AFC South, we see the Colts got a win over the Titans as Anthony Richardson is still not back yet. I think he was the emergency third-string quarterback, but still going with Joe Flacco at this point. They're at 3-3. The Titans struggling at 1-5, and we've seen. I did want to mention our old friend Calvin Ridley.
I was hoping you were going there.
Not happy with the quarterback situation over there, which, I mean, we saw he got frustrated at times here as well, but he's definitely frustrated in Nashville at this point.
Well, when he signed with the Titans, I mean, Levis is this big-armed quarterback, but he's very inaccurate. And then, of course, you compound that with Calvin, who didn't really run precise routes. I thought that was going to be a match made in discord from the very beginning. But he took the money, right? He wanted the money. He got it. They were willing to sign him in Jacksonville and give him an opportunity to work with a more proficient quarterback, and he took the money over it. So, Calvin, you get what you signed for.
Yeah, I
I did enjoy it, though.
It was interesting.
It'll be fun. It'll be interesting to watch.
It was interesting because the Titans fans had a lot to say about it when it was happening in Jacksonville.
Sure.
And now that it's over there,
Yeah.
it's not a thing anymore.
And a word on the Colts. The Colts have, to me, done an impressive job early in the season when things have been tricky and rocky. They have managed to keep themselves afloat at 3-3. They feel like they're having the kind of season that I wish the Jaguars had had so far. Meaning it's been rocky. If the Jaguars could have gotten a couple, then they're 3-3, and you feel like you're still kind of hanging on. The Colts have been able to do that, so as a result, they're still alive. I'm not sure how great the Colts are, but they have managed to keep themselves in a position where now if they get on a run, they're okay.
They're in the mix.
For this franchise, at 1-5, I think the Jaguars are capable of a run.
Yeah, but
the whole early on, you got to do what the Colts have done, which is sort of hang on and scrape and be in position when you do put it together. And that's what's too bad about this team.
That grit. I mean, they put themselves in a position, and they've got a couple players. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's a home run hitter when he's healthy. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't been healthy. And I think Michael Pittman's a good receiver. I think the Downs kid has the potential to be really good. And then, of course, if they can get a couple of guys back on their defensive front, if they can just hang around, perhaps they'll be in the mix when it's all said and done. The Jaguars have to climb.
Yeah.
They really have to climb. It's got to be a much more dramatic. But when we talk about, that's a great example, John. When we talk about, toughness for a team that's been as injured as they are is 3-3. That's really tough
Figure out
stuff.
a way to win at the end. And nobody cares if you play bad or not.
Nope.
Find a way. Stay with us here on Jags A.M. We'll be right back to tell you exactly what we have going on the rest of the week.
We need to define a great deal in today's new home market because the so-called great deals that you find on every corner just aren't the same as the incredible opportunities you'll find with a new Dreamfinder's home. How about 2.99% in year one in one of Dreamfinder's 15 communities across North Florida? Now that's a great deal. 2.99% interest rate in year one and a beautiful new Dreamfinder's home. Visit DFHSalesEvent.com for our largest savings of the year on move-in ready homes. That's DFHSalesEvent.com.
When disaster strikes, trust the experts at Surf Pro. As a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they bring the same dedication and precision to restoring your property as the Jaguars do on the field. Whether it's water, fire, or storm damage, their highly trained professionals are on call 24/7 to make it like it never even happened. Surf Pro, your local leader in restoration and cleanup.
At Publix, you can tackle everything from pregame prep to postgame cleanup with prices that are never out of bounds. This week at Publix, save $10 with a digital coupon when you spend $40 on select P&G products. Tackle everything from pregame prep with brands like Crest, Head & Shoulders, and Old Spice to postgame cleanup with brands like Bounty, Dawn, Tide, and Febreze. Clip your digital coupon now. Available at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Are you ready for a taste bud touchdown? Well, Jags fans, if you're at the bank and craving a snack that's shell-shockingly good, look no further than Luray Peanut Company's boiled peanuts. Picture this, you in the stands, cheering on your Jaguars, and in one hand, a bag of piping hot boiled peanuts. With original or Cajun to choose from, they're so delicious, you'll wonder where they've been all your life. So grab them while they're hot and get back to the game. And as always, Duval! Luray boiled peanuts, where every nut is a winner.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA to not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. to not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Jags fans, do you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home? Check out zipchair.com for all the customizable options. Zipchair is furniture for fans.
Hey, we got to crush the pocket on them, bro. Everybody mean at the cue. Mean at the cue. Tempo. Hey, we don't quit. Hey, boy. That's on you. Stay together, baby. Stay together.
Trayvon Walker mic'd up in that game against the Bears, trying to corral Caleb Williams.
That was going to be a great play.
It was going to be a great play. That's just, in my mind, it will always be a great play. We just unfortunately didn't get the end result we wanted. I do want to take a moment because we celebrated our 100th episode last week. I did say we were going to give away some prizes, and we have now our winner of that trivia question, which was how many players have a 100-yard rushing game in franchise history. Jeremiah 464. The correct answer is 17. Now, Brian, name all of them.
No, I can't. No, I could probably go through most of the list, but there's a couple of names in there, like
randoms.
Elvis Joseph, that people would be like, who? Right? I can tell you who the first was.
Who's
James
that?
Stewart. In St. Louis, 119 yards rushing in October of 1996.
And the most recent?
And the most recent was Tank Bigsby. Yep, for sure.
Very good. We didn't make anybody show their work. So, Jeremiah, congratulations. You're going to get your Fred Taylor throwback jersey, a couple of other odds and ends, a London t-shirt, and, of course, Jags to Riches. If you would like something personalized, John, I'm sure, would oblige with a pleasant message in there.
Well, I'll oblige with a message.
A pleasantry.
Okay.
A pleasantry of some kind. All right, what are you guys up to this week? Obviously, we have practice here at the Grove, north of London, for a couple more days, and then back at Wembley.
I'm hoping to catch up with offensive line coach Phil Rauscher for the first time this year. The first 3 weeks, it was rocky for that group. But then they appear to have stabilized and found ground, and the quarterback had time to stand up in the pocket. So he's also the run game coordinator for this team, and the running game has been working really well. So we should have a lot to talk about with Phil.
I'm going to have tea with – no, it's you. You're going to have tea with Walker – with Cam Little and
Maason Smith.
That'll be fun.
Dynamic duo.
I'm supposed to talk to Monteric Brown for the Ozone podcast. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. All right, stay with us. We'll be back on Jags A.M. on Thursday. Get you all ready for that game against the Patriots.